Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Mandala Effect. I hope you're well and ready for a very deep and insightful conversation. I have done things a little bit differently this week, and I actually joined my good friend Anuska Taylor, who you may have heard on my podcast before. I joined her over on her YouTube channel where we had a special conversation for International Women's Day, and we're addressing why women hold themselves back from expressing themselves authentically and fearlessly, how we have been conditioned to hold ourselves back, and how it may show up in your personal and professional life. We also address how you can step fully into your power and find your voice. So buckle in, get ready for a very deep conversation, and I hope you enjoy.
Hello and welcome to everyone that's joining us live, or probably more likely the replay. Thank you so much. So today, my name is Anuska Taylor, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a voice coach, and I've got my good friend and meditation teacher, Roseanna Croft, here today to talk about expressing yourself fearlessly and how we can sort of step into our power. And this is really aimed at women, because this is actually a special call today for International Women's Day. But of course, we know that men also experience this as well, but we're really focusing on women. And I work with lots of women around their voice. So, and as we're women, obviously we can talk more knowledgeably about being a woman than a man.
Yeah, I think that's probably, yeah, I can definitely talk about an experience of being a woman rather than being a man.
So, Roseanna, would you like to just briefly introduce yourself a bit more?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I am a meditation teacher and I'm a life coach. I'm a speaker. I do all sorts of stuff. I host a podcast called the Mandala Effect. And in all of my kind of roles in life, I understand how important it is to be able to use my voice and express myself authentically and openly and honestly in order to kind of share in the way that, in a way that comes from my heart, and I understand the power of that. So as a meditation teacher, I help people kind of connect with that heart, connect with their intuition and what they want to express. And I think that's where the work that Anuska and I are doing together it's quite a powerful potion.
One of the similarities between Roseanna's work and my work is we're both Jungian life coaches. So we come with this kind of deeper knowledge and understanding of the unconscious and how it's sort of, from my perspective, how it drives the voice. And obviously Roseanna uses it in more of a sort of general approach around helping people with their lives, in business, in relationships, in whatever, but mine is specifically around the voice. But that's the kind of the commonality in our work.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, so as I say, we're really talking about this from a female, a women perspective. So why we obviously agree that we do fear expression. I think everyone fears expression, men and women. It just shows up a bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think if you have an ego and you're in a human body, you fear expression on some level.
Yeah.
So why let's talk about it first of all from a sort of, as a woman, why do you think it's particularly challenging for women to express themselves fully, authentically, and really step into their power?
Well, I think from my perspective and my experience previously, like I was a very shy child. So I was always told I was shy and sweet. Little girls should be seen and not heard. The amount of times my grandma has said that to me. And so I think we fear expressing ourselves for maybe being told that what we are saying is invalid or not important, or I know that that's been it for me. Like I've been
afraid to express myself in just in case I'm told that that's not right. I'm shut down and then made to feel small, and so it's almost better to stay quiet and to stay small than to be told that you're small.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know, but there are like so many reasons why women do fear expressing themselves, and in so many different parts of our lives as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the common theme with it all is that we fear ultimately being abandoned. That's the fear at the core of it. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how many qualifications you've got, doesn't matter how old you are, we all ultimately fear being abandoned. So if I say the wrong thing, people might get angry, people might not like me, people might not speak to me again. And you see that a lot in celebrities. They tweet something or they say something, and then everyone kind of descends on them, and there's all this kind of hate messaging on social media, and people are very, very quick to jump on things that you say wrong, whatever wrong actually is. So I think we're really conditioned broadly because we fear that. We fear the criticism, which equals essentially being ostracized and abandoned. But I think for women as well, we are conditioned as women, as a general rule, to be good, to keep the family together, to not rock the boat, to not upset people. And we may take on that persona, which I think a lot of women do. I certainly did. In my home, it was like the little girl, be quiet, go back into your box and just keep quiet to keep the peace. But then you see other women who are rebelling against that persona and then become very outspoken and very fiery and very aggressive. But it's still not coming from a true place. It's coming from a fear. It's coming from a fear of, I don't feel I'm enough. Like the barking dog at the gate. It's actually a fear that the dog is so aggressive at the gate. It's not, the dog's not actually feeling good about, this is a weird analogy, but you know what I mean? It's like, like when we see animals, they're scared. And so often when we see women that we perceive to be aggressive, fiery, too much, it's really often coming from this
fear.
This fear, and it's a kind of compensatory thing, versus when it comes from a true place, there is no fear in expression. But we're all kind of conditioned to some extent, I think, as women, to please and to not rock the boat.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And the example that keeps coming up for me is in relationships, actually, and I see it more. It's much louder in my relationships than it is maybe in my business and professional life. But I also have seen it there as well, where I am afraid to say what I think for fear of the person leaving me. If they truly understood if my opinion was different to theirs, or if I didn't want to do something, but I wouldn't express that because I was scared that I was scared that they would not like me anymore. And that's exactly, like, I can see this more clearly now that I have I've done a lot of training and looking into it, but it's just so obvious now that a lot of my interactions with ex-boyfriends, with family members, with friends have been driven by this fear of not wanting to be alone.
Yeah. I think it's also really important as well from the sort of the Jungian perspective, so the unconscious part of our mind, we're also dealing with not only what's in our personal unconscious, but the collective unconscious, which is what's passed down through generations of women before us. So we know that women only got the vote in 1928. So just from that perspective, women's voices have been shut down in a very, very sort of public way. And we know there's parts of the world right now, as we speak, where you're not allowed to say what you think as a woman without serious repercussions. And so it's still happening today. So whether we live in that environment or not, whether we've never known a world where we haven't been able to vote.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough to live in a country where we are allowed to say what we think without
Yeah.
being murdered.
Yeah.
So but that's still in our DNA, and that is still passed down through our lineage. I think that's really important, because a lot of people don't logically understand. They're like, no, but I grew up in a home where I was allowed to say what I think. But it's not always in your family unit. It could be passed down from your grandparents, your great grandparents, their grandparents, and it's all kind of in our body. We carry it through our genes and our DNA in our body.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. And, yes, we know this from the Jungian side. We know about, we can talk about the collective unconscious, but then there is, science is proving this, which is really kind of exciting.
Yeah. So I think, first of all, it's just acknowledging that whoever you are, on some level, we all have some work to do around this, because it's part of our conditioning. And as I said, I grew up in a home, youngest female, don't know what you're talking about, Anuska, just be quiet and just be a good girl. So we all have that to a greater or lesser extent. Or, as I say, we might play the shadow, we might reject that and play the opposite role. They're like, no one's telling me what to do. I'm going to have this attitude and I'm going to tell you what to do. So you kind of see, but they're both coming from fear. Neither of those personas are really women in their true power.
Yeah.
They're women that are actually feeling quite insecure at an unconscious level.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something?
I was just going to ask you, so how does a woman in her true power sound? How does she express herself?
Well, I don't think that there is any. First of all, I think there is they're not seeking validation, so they express themselves from their heart, regardless of how people react. And I think when you're coming from ego, whatever, because there's a sense of needing to defend. So either I'm going to start shouting at you and being really aggressive because I need to defend my persona, or it's I need to be quiet to defend. But there's a defensive quality to it. Whereas when it's the true self, there's no defense. You just say what you feel, but it comes from a place of love. And by love, I mean you're saying it with the best of intention. You're not deliberately trying to hurt people, but it might hurt them because actually maybe you need to say, for example, in a relationship, I'm not happy in this relationship. I think we need to break up. That will hurt them in the moment, but it's for the greater good because it's not actually the right thing for you. So I think so I always say to clients, it's about the intention behind your words versus the words, because you have no control over how anyone receives your words anyway. I could try and craft the perfect message with the perfect tone of voice, but if your conditioning is that's someone attacking me, I'm being criticized, it doesn't matter what I say, how I say it, that's how you'll perceive it.
Yeah. Amazing. Thanks for clarifying.
So but you have to, and this is where the meditation comes in, because and the going within, because often we don't realize we're defending because it's just always done. It's like, it's just what I do. I shut down and I don't say what I think, because that's me going into defense mode, like hibernation.
Yeah, because I have to stay safe, because that's what the ego does. I have to stay safe. It's our survival instinct. We need to stay safe, so the ego will do whatever it can to keep us safe, when in reality, in the truth, actually it's not unfortunately keeping us safe. And the safest thing we can do is to express ourselves authentically and choose to step into that power. And like you said, this is where meditation really comes in, because when you can go inwards and when you can connect to that part of you that is that power, which is, your heart, your energy system, the energy that flows through you, when you can connect to that, that is the power of all that is. So that power will, help you. Once you can step into that power and connect to that, it will be a lot easier for you to express authentically, to speak from love, whether it will hurt somebody for a short amount of time, but it will actually only hurt their ego. And what is it, breaking expectations, not breaking hearts.
Absolutely. Yes.
So and
easier
when
said than done, I know, but
it's much easier said than done, but it is. When you can connect to yourself, you have more, you just trust yourself more, you trust the power you have more, you trust love more. And when I say love, I mean the energy, the kind of the truth of who you really are, which is not the ego.
Yeah. And it's not all sunshines and rainbows. Sometimes,
no, unfortunately,
sometimes love is actually allowing yourself to express your anger or express your sadness, or whatever. So it's just allowing yourself to be authentic. But we think of love as happiness and joy and smiles and rainbows and lambs and kittens, which is all great. Love lambs and kittens, but
I was going to say, how did lambs get in there? It's spring, I guess. March is here.
Exactly. There was method to my weird mind.
And it's funny because when I find that when I mention things like meditation, people think that I just mean sunshines and rainbows, and Roseanna just goes and lives in this little fantasy fairy tale world of meditation. And no, it's not. It's not. It can, you have to face things that come up in your shadow. You have to face things that are holding you back. It will become very, very evident the second you step out of your, the safe small space of your ego. The second you step out of that, the universe will meet you and it'll say, right, well, here you go, we're going to give you this challenge, and this is an opportunity for you to step into your power and express yourself in the way you need to. But that's where going, it's just you stepping up, isn't it? Stepping up, going inwards, stepping up and facing it head on.
So actually this is a nice segue then into how do we step into this, because it is easier said than done. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, facing your shadow is one of the most challenging things you will ever go through, but also ultimately one of the most rewarding things. But there's a reason why most people don't do this work, because it's hard. So uncomfortable. It's like skin crawlingly uncomfortable at times. So I get why people don't do it, and they would rather run away than face this stuff. And this is no judgment. This is wherever you are. But I think first of all, and this is where the Jungian side of the work comes in, and also what Roseanna will talk about with meditation. But first of all, I think in order to really step into this, you have to really take full responsibility for your life. And really get on the deepest level that the external world is a reflection of your mind. Now, it doesn't always make logical sense because it's conditioned. A lot of our conditioning is set, it's actually locked in place when we're very young, when we don't have that cognitive intellect, that awareness, that ability to, we don't even have language skills at this point. We are like little emotional sponges and we're just absorbing. So we might be in an environment where, like, for example, me, it's like maybe my mum was shouting at my brother, and I thought, oh, and I just keep quiet as a little girl because it's safer. But I wouldn't necessarily have the words to put around that. But I just learned as a girl, little girl, don't speak, it's safer, because then mum will just focus her attention on your brother and not on you. And he'll get like criticized and shouted at, and you can kind of stay in the corner quiet. So we can see how it happens, but it's very, very unconscious most of the time, which is why people have a hard time accepting that the world is a mirror of their mind.
I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow. So I created this then, so this is unconscious, and this is it's unconsciously, because people can often then take on the blame of, okay, so if this is a reflection of my mind, I've created this, so it's my fault.
Yeah.
And no, it's not your fault because it's unconscious.
Yes.
You
Yes.
haven't consciously said, like for myself, when I went through cancer, I didn't consciously give myself cancer.
No, you didn't think, I know, I'm going to have cancer next year.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
Go
Which type?
Yeah. Oh, let me pick from the catalogue.
Yeah.
To choose from.
It's, I mean, it was a bit elaborate just to get some new boobs, but you know, sorry, we're laughing about this. I know that actually it can be really serious, but
and if anyone's going through this right now,
we're
very much.
I feel you. I'm with you with love. But yes, so I didn't consciously create cancer, but unconsciously through my programming, conditioning, this is how something that actually I wasn't expressing, it expressed itself physically through the form of cancer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I wasn't expressing were things like anger and emotions.
Yeah.
And actually like how I wanted to show up in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And it's often these suppressed emotions, particularly anger, grief, guilt, shame, that as women, I think particularly we do suppress. Again, comes out in the voice or doesn't come out in the voice if we don't express it. And then it doesn't go anywhere. It sits in the body, but we can push it down for so long. And then it has to be expressed in the body, whether it's through cancer, whether it's through some kind of chronic illness or chronic pain. I mean, in my case, I lost both of my parents in a very short space of time. And they weren't particularly old, very sort of suddenly. And that was a massive wake-up call for me, because I was going in the wrong direction. I was really sort of unfulfilled in pretty much every area of my life at this moment. And it was like the universe, or this sort of higher me, was like, no, Anuska, we've got to get your attention. This is not where you're meant to be going or what you're meant to be doing. So it was like, they say the kind of universe whispers to you, and if you ignore it, then it starts to kind of tap. And then if you keep ignoring it, chucks a rock against your head. And then with me, it was like, literally, we're just going to like chuck a massive, crater on.
We're going to throw you off a cliff.
We're going to throw you off a cliff, and we're not going to give you any wings.
Yeah.
And
but you built your wings.
I built them eventually, but I did have a crash landing first.
Well, that's okay. We're all allowed a crash landing.
Yeah. But I think the point is, we all go through these, whether it's illness, whether it's death, divorce, it shows up in so many different ways as a way to kind of wake us up to where are we living out of alignment. And often, as you say, it's around not expressing, particularly for women. Now, Luna, right on cue, has started my cat. Very expressive cat.
She is very expressive. I can hear her. And I'm like, Luna has no problem expressing herself.
At 2 a.m. this morning, I might add. So the reason we're saying all of this is because it is unconscious. And God, I would never wish anyone to go through what I went through at all at that age in my life as well. And it was horrendous, but it was also, on reflection, 10 years later, it was actually one of the most liberating experiences I ever went through. One of the most painful and difficult at the time, but also one of the most liberating, because it really woke me up. And I started to see, I didn't realize how much anger I was holding and I wasn't expressing, because again, I was taught anger was bad. You're a little girl. Women don't express anger. You keep your voice shut down. You please. And all of that resentment and that anger was just building in my body. And so my way out of that and being woken up was the loss of my parents. And I think you can awaken. You don't have to go through something quite so dramatic as we have. But I think the ego fights it to the death. So normally we do have to go through something quite tragic or quite traumatic.
And like you've said, the universe is trying to speak to you. It is trying to tell you. So if there is a place in your life where you're out of alignment, where you don't feel like you are really, truly fulfilled, that is probably because you're not expressing your full potential in that area. And this is the universe. If you're feeling unfulfilled, this is the universe talking to you. This is the universe saying, right, well, come on, there is more. You are, you have this whole beautiful being to express, and you're not expressing that fully in this area. So we're just going to make it a bit miserable for you. So that can be the start of it. And I mean, I didn't listen, but then I also think that this is a bit of maybe not right, in that I didn't listen, so the universe gave me cancer. I don't think that's necessarily how it works, but I didn't listen, and I was pushed off a cliff, and I did wake up in a very, very uncomfortable way. But again, one of the best things that ever happened to me, because now I do authentically express myself, and I don't hold myself back as much. I did have another point. The other thing that I was thinking was, like, even if you're feeling a bit like anxious and depressed, this is another way that I think the universe is trying to kind of speak to you and wake you up, especially with things like depression, which is repressed anger. And that it all comes back to not fully expressing yourself.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's anger turned inwards, I think.
Yes,
and I think a lot of women, again, experience that because we're taught it's not okay to be angry. Like, angry women are perceived as bad and wrong and hysterical and
oh goodness,
hormonal. All the words that we get as women. Oh, you're hormonal.
We used to get locked up in asylums just because we had, PMS. Which I mean, and so I went through the menopause when I was on chemotherapy, and I cannot tell you the feelings that went through my body. It was like I was possessed. It was awful. So I can see why, if anybody had been around me, they might have wanted to lock me up. But I think it's, we are, that was where I was going. Like, one of my ex-boyfriends, if I was emotional or angry or upset, he would call me a psychopath. And that is, and that's he didn't, that would have come from an unconscious place that he would have put that together. He didn't sit and think, what can I call her?
No.
That was part of what the collective unconscious in him, because it is just, that's just, women are crazy. Women who speak up are crazy. They're whatever.
Well, and also I think we've got to remember as well with the menopause, I mean, for a long time women didn't even live to menopause age. So when women were living longer, there was this whole new menopause thing, and so men did think, well, what's happening to women? They've gone mad. They didn't used to do this. But that's because we never lived long enough to get to that age. So that was also part of the issue as well. So it's relatively recently that women are even going through the menopause, which I think is also why there's so little out there. And it's obviously really changed in the last couple of years, particularly. But I think that for a long time, there really was nothing around perimenopause and the menopause for women, which is such a great shame, given we all go through menopause at some point. But obviously in our ancestors, a lot of them didn't even get to that age. They died very young or in childbirth, whatever. So, the world has changed. But I think the point is with this, first of all, it's seeing that you're seeing a reflection of your mind. So when you go to express yourself and someone reacts badly, let's say they get angry at you, or they say, who do you think you are? Or you're hysterical, or you're crazy, or I've had all of that, like you're crazy, you're dreaming, you're mad, like what's wrong with you? When I express myself, it's the ego will want you to run back into your box and say, no, that means you're not meant to say that. So run back. I'm going to challenge you, if you're seeing your own mind, you're just seeing your conditioning, which is no fault of your own. We're not blaming. You're seeing your conditioning. So when you can see it for what it is, you can keep moving forward despite the discomfort, despite what people are saying. Because when you start to shift that internal narrative, the world around you will change. But initially, you're going to bump up against that conditioning. As my coach says, like the security barbed wire around a house. And as soon as you get close to it, it goes, you know, and as soon as you get close to that edge, the ego is going to freak out. And you're going to see in the external world people telling you you're mad, you're crazy, who do you think you are? I'm never speaking to you again. You're just going to see that, and you've got to stay the course. And that is the hardest thing to do, which is where meditation comes in.
Well, I'm pleased you said that.
Over to you.
And this is where meditation comes in, because also it reminds you of the truth of who you really are. Meditation, you know, we know the scientific benefits that meditation has against stress, against you know, insomnia. It can help with all sorts of magical health benefits. But for me, ultimately, in this work and in encouraging women to step into their fullest potential and express themselves fully, it is a reminder of the power that you are and that you have within you, and that you are this incredible being who is worthy of expressing, who is worthy of being listened to, and has a lot of value to give. And meditation, as you go inwards, you connect to the parts that, you know, we're told that this is a physical reality, and that this is we're living in a 3D, and this is all that we are, this physical being. But again, science has proved that we're not, that we are energy, and that we are energetic beings. And so often we forget about our energetic system. We just think, oh, so I have a problem, and Anuska, you'll be able to talk to this much better than I can, but I have a problem. I have a problem. I have a problem
about having problems.
I have a problem with my voice. I have my voice cracks when, and this is just an example, like my voice cracks whenever I speak, or whenever I try and express myself. My voice, I can't, it stops, it does. So we think, right, there must be something wrong with my voice box, there must be something wrong with my vocal cords. So we try and fix the external problem, but actually we need to start internally first. And this is where meditation and the Jungian psychology that we both know, that the going inwards, this is where it starts. Because okay, so on the energetic level, well, let's connect our voice, our respiratory system. We're here, we're in the throat chakra. So what is stuck in your throat chakra energy? Like, this is an energy center in your body that helps you connect all the rest of your energy centers. If something is a little bit out of alignment, it will show up in your physical body. And through meditation, we have excellent exercises that will help you clear this and help you connect to this. But also, what's really important for me, one of the biggest things in meditation, is that you are able to listen to the voice within. You're able to listen to your intuition, to your heart, to your body, because your body's always talking to you. So if you can listen, I remember when I was having my lump in my breast examined, one of the first things Anuska said to me is, have you tried talking to your And so we sat there in the restaurant, and I'm going, what's up? We didn't really. But your body is always talking to you. Your body carries memories. Your body carries the conditionings, the experiences. This is where we store it. The body is the subconscious mind. So if you've got a block in your throat, if you're having trouble expressing yourself, speaking, then it's likely that there's some stuff going on. So when we get silent, and when we go inward, and when we connect to that power that we are, this power that's moving through us, the energy, then we we will hear something. Oh, maybe we could look at this. Maybe we could look at this. Maybe all it takes is breathing into our throat with love and gratitude, and that will help shift something. But also there could be something deeper. And this is where the beauty of coaching comes in, and the Jungian psychology, because we actually get to look into the conditionings and actively change it and face it head on.
Yeah. And you won't feel the resistance until you step outside your comfort zone. So if you stay comfortable, and you I'm not saying that there's always benefit to meditation, but if you're really trying to step into your power more and speak with more courage and confidence, you have to step outside your comfort zone first to feel what comes up. Because you can't think your way into it in the same way. You won't feel the fullness of the feelings. And then what happens is you go to have, let's say, a conversation with your boss, and you want a pay rise, and you've never asked for a pay rise before, and you're like, they're going to tell me that who do I think I am, and you're not good enough, and blah blah blah. So all of those ego stories, and you may be shaking. Your voice may shake when you speak. Maybe your hands shake. Maybe something else will happen. But it's starting to bring some awareness to whatever you feel. So whether it's heart going, hands shaking, throat tightening, voice shaking, just bring some awareness to it. But you have to actually get outside your comfort zone to feel things. And that's, we want to do this work without being uncomfortable. Like, I want to be nice and comfortable in a meditation mat and, sit there and imagine what it might be like. No, you actually have to do it.
You actually have to do it. There's connecting to yourself here, and then you have to take that out, because the universe rewards action. So you have to take that out into the world and actually put it into practice. And then, but this is where the two go hand in hand really well together, because when you have gone out and you are confronting, or not confronting, you're having a discussion with your boss about this pay rise that you so deserve, you actually can still be connected to yourself while you're doing that. And this is where the two go hand in hand, because the meditation helps you keep that connection. Helps you feel that settled within your body. And then when you go home, you can go meditate and go and sit back on cloud 9.
Because in the moment when your heart's going, you can just breathe a little bit deeper, bring a little bit of stillness and awareness, even if it's a split-second moment, even if you're about to go into their office and have this conversation, your heart's going, and you're like, you can feel your throat tightening, and you're like, I can't do this. Then that's when you can take some deep breaths and bring in a little bit of the meditation technique in that moment. And then when you're back home, you can then actually go a little bit deeper and start to explore the emotions, the feelings that came up. Like, from a Jungian perspective, like what triggered you in that? And maybe it was something that your boss said or didn't say, or, so there could be all kinds of things that you might want to explore. But I think the first stage is really to allow yourself to feel whatever is going on. And we so don't want to feel, and we'd rather just distract and do anything to avoid feeling. But also, and this is where, so this could be a segue. I'm good with my segues.
You're good at this.
You'd think I've done this at least once before. So this is where I think that the two worlds come together, because you have to take action. You have to go within, and you have to take action to feel what comes up, to know where your resistance really is. I know from my own perspective, I thought I had sort of fear around certain things, and I imagined that I had fear around certain things, and there was a certain level of feeling I had. Then I actually went through the thing, and I was like, whoa, the fear was so much greater than I ever realized. So you can't actually transcend it if you don't feel it. So we talked about how conditioning is kind of locked in through emotion, and we also unlock it through emotion. So we have to feel to unlock it, as well as we felt it to lock it in. So most of us want to stay in our head and intellectually analyze and intellectualize, so we don't have to feel our heart coming out of our chest, or our throat tightening, or our hands shaking, or feel that terror when, you know, our boss says, no, who do you think you are, and shames us in front of the company, or whatever, you know, whatever it is. But then from my perspective, so what Roseanna does is really to help you go within and really connect to yourself. But you've got to also remember that the voice is just like any other muscle in the body. It is a series of muscles. And like you wouldn't expect to have a strong, healthy, flexible body by sitting on the sofa all day, you've got to work your voice, and you've got to work it in a very specific way. We've got to release it, we've got to open it, and we've got to strengthen it. And when you do all of that, when you learn to release and strengthen your voice, then when your voice, and I was actually having a conversation with a lady yesterday about this, I get nervous, but it doesn't affect my voice, because I've done so much work in strengthening and freeing and opening my voice that I can still feel anxious. My heart can still be going, but it doesn't impact my voice. And that's not because I'm any special person. It's just because I've done a lot of training. And that's what I help clients with. It's having the tools to really open the voice up, literally, because we're dealing with muscle, and then strengthen those muscles. So when you are feeling anxious, when you are feeling, you know, fearful, that can kind of take over. And then you have the tools. You've got the tools to deal with the physical voice, and you've got the tools to deal with the mind and the emotional body. That's what our workshop is about. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be extremely powerful. Thank you so much for joining us, Susan. We hope that you've taken something from it. You have to catch the last 10 minutes on the replay. Yes. Well, hopefully we'll see you next Friday. Which would be wonderful. Yes. So we're hosting a workshop next Friday. Next Friday afternoon for International Women's Day, and, you know, exploring this conversation on a much deeper level. And I will be I'll be taking you through a 1 hour meditation journey where we will be we will be going inwards. We'll be connecting to your heart, to your soul, to your intuition, and listening to where you might need to express yourself more, where you might want to be saying something that you're too scared to say, going after what it is you really want in life. You know, this work will help you in every aspect of your life. It's not just about jobs and career. No, it's not just about jobs, career. It's when you can express yourself fully in one aspect, it will go, you will see it's like a ripple effect, and it is so powerful. So go on. No, I was just going to say as well, I think for all of us, and I can certainly say in my own life, relationships with our family can be the most challenging. And it's often the people. I know you don't have any issues there, do you? But it's one of those things that we know these people so well. They've been with us our whole life, but often we find the people that we're closest to the hardest to actually be real with, and to be vulnerable with, and be honest with. And so, you know, there could be people in your family, it could even be your partner, your spouse, your wife, your husband, where you don't fully share how you feel about whatever it is. Or it could be a brother or a sister or a mother or a father, where you feel like you hold back. And I think we all experience this because we're so worried about being abandoned by our family, even as adults. So it's so fearful. It brings up so much fear for us. So this anything, this is career, this is relationships, romantic relationships, but relationships with family, I think, are some of the most challenging we have, because we feel we have to have them in our life. And we also fear not having them in our life. So we feel like we do then have to shut our voice down. And I know that's been the case for me. I've had to do a lot of work with this for myself around really allowing myself to allow my family to see who I really am versus the person that they thought I was as a child. Yeah, same. And, you know, this is something that I'm going through at the moment, is fully stepping into who I am becoming, and
the person who I was before I had cancer is a very different person to who I am now. And bringing that to my family and to the people in my life has been challenging.
Yeah.
And this work has really helped me step more fully into that, it fearlessly,
Yeah.
it is really, really, really powerful work.
Yeah.
Powerful. And if you can just imagine, like, I think this is one of the most important aspects of this, is it's all right us telling you that you can go within and you can work on your vocal exercises, but just imagine, and this is a really important thing to connect to, is imagine what your perfect relationships would look like, what your perfect partnership would look like if you could fully express yourself. This is where relationships get deeper, they get more authentic, they become the fairy tale that you may have always dreamed of. And that's what this work can help you do, step into that freedom on the other side.
And I think it's just remembering as well, again, we're all seeing our own mind, but with family, people that have known us our whole life, they're very attached to the person that they've known. So when you start to change and you start to express yourself, that is a threat to them on some level. It might be very unconscious, but if you've always kept the peace and you've always not said anything and suddenly you start speaking up, that's going to challenge your family.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hold on a minute, what's happening with this? What's happening to Anuska? She always used to, this is actually something that happened with me with my dad before he passed away. And I started to actually say what I thought.
Yeah.
And then it really triggered him because he wasn't used to it. And then he was like, oh, Anuska, you're so argumentative these days.
No,
It
really?
used to me just not arguing about anything. I was just like,
Wow.
yeah, whatever, I'll do whatever you want me to do,
Gosh, I could not imagine you not confronting, not speaking your mind, because that's how I know you.
Well, exactly. So we don't want to take much more of your time, but next Friday, so Friday the 10th of March, it's 1 o'clock GMT, which we worked out was 8 a.m. EST if you're in the US. And because I do have quite a lot of people that follow me from the US as well. So whether you can make it live or not, you're very welcome to sign up, because you will still get the replay, you will still get the handouts. And also we are very happy to answer your questions post-workshop. So if you went through the replay and you were like, I don't understand this, or how does this work for me? I'm very happy for you to email me. Roseanna's very happy to be emailed. So don't feel like if you can't make it live or you can only make half of it, we would love to see you there. Yeah. And the link is underneath this video, the Eventbrite link. It's £149. So it's a 2.5 hour workshop, immersive. You are going to feel like a very different person at the end. And also, it's a small group. And this is why we priced it the way we priced it, because it's not a 50, 100 people where you just get lost. We will be giving you as much personal attention as you want. If you don't want personal attention, that's fine. But certainly from a voice perspective, I know people often struggle with applying things in their voice. So I'm really here to help you. If you want me to help you, ask questions and I will answer them and guide you personally.
Yeah. And, likewise, we're the two of us make a good team, and we're here to hold you and guide you through this. And at the end of it, you will be able to, express yourself in the way that you really want to, and see that reflected, see the power that you're now showing up with reflected back to you. And we'll give you the tools to help you on the way.
Absolutely. And these are tools that you can take forward with you. As I said, if you've got, say, next week, you've got a big presentation or a meeting or a conversation, Roseanna's going to provide like a separate meditation that you can do outside of the big meditation she's going to do. So you've got like a little thing you can do just before or in the morning of something. And I will give you some very simple tools and techniques that you can use in the morning before you go into a speaking situation where you need to actually speak with courage and confidence and authority.
Yeah, it's like a little toolbox that you can take with you. Just on the meditation journey, it won't be 1 hour of sitting in silence.
So I asked that. I was like, that's a long time.
Because that can be very scary, and that people, even though we know the benefits of meditation, most people avoid doing it. So it will not be 1 hour of sitting in silence. It will be more of a workshop. It will be a journey. There will be some silent sitting. There will be lots of guidance, and it will be. I actually think it'll be quite fun.
It's going to be very interactive, I think, is what Roseanna's saying. It's not going to be us just talking at you for 2.5 hours and you just. We want you to get involved. We want you to ask questions. We want you to utilize us. That's what you're paying for. That's what we're here for. So the more you engage and interact, the more you'll get from it. But it's definitely not a, turn the video off and sort of get on with, cleaning the house. We want you to be really engaged and involved. And then you'll get so much from it, and you just cannot put a value on the confidence you feel when you truly can step into your power when you speak. It's just, you take your voice everywhere you go for the rest of your life. You cannot, you just can't underestimate its power. So
no, I agree.
Anyway.
Amazing. Well, I'm excited.
Yes, me too. So please do sign up as soon as possible. It's a small group, so it's, we can only work with a few people, and we'd love to see you there. And as I say, if you can't make it live, you can still sign up and we will send you all the replays and handouts. So any questions, post them below. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching the replay. And we will see you next Friday, hopefully.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you for everybody who's listening to the replay on the Mandala Effect podcast.
Oh, yes. And you too.
Have an amazing day.
Bye.